Thank you. By the way, yeah, thank you so much for the love, the people on YouTube and anybody benefiting from this, helping keep Dzogchen alive in a pure way. And then we're already starting with a question here. Does your cut have any elevated spaces just for the my help with no? Oh, does your cat have? Yeah, yeah. We were talking about the cat um, being a great tool for renunciation. So they and how they like to knock stuff over. Uh, so I'm of the opinion to just let the cat knock over what it needs to knock over. Yeah. The cat has pretty much free reign in this house. Sometimes I see it Spider-Man up the walls, which is kind of surreal. All of a sudden, you have this cat hanging from the wall. So yeah, the cat owns this house, and all the dogs highly respect the kitty. Yeah, I was just remarking on it. Sometimes we need stuff to be pushed over. So, all right, let's see what the text says here, okay? We're getting into this Keith Dowman text called Non-Meditation. May this reading benefit all beings. So it says, we must also include all contrived meditation in our daily experience within the scope of non-meditation if it is in an habitual mode. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a tricky sentence right there. We read that before, but it's basically saying if you have a habit of needing to get into meditation to be calm, well, that's also a contrived experience that's within your effortless abiding, your non meditation. So, non meditation is exactly what we just did for the past half hour. So, it says if we practice structured meditation, whether it is Shinei or Mahayoga, non meditation is the underlying cognitive faculty. Such a definition of non meditation provides a clear understanding of its all inclusive scope. Simply sitting non meditation implies no structure in consciousness. It is a state of allowance or acquiescence and basic awareness of anything and everything that enters the mind through physical or energetic experience. Because, because the physical isn't energy. Everything's energy. Okay. I don't know why that distinction was made there between physical and energetic experience because all is the energy of mind. Tuji. Yeah. So, accommodation is another word that may describe non meditation. Accommodation without discrimination of whatever may arise. It may be that such pointing out is sufficient, enough at least for the superior yogin who only has to hear non meditation instructions for the light of the mind to infuse every moment of their experience thenceforth. Thenceforth. Uh, this book was published in 2020. Okay, 2020. Just saying. All right, I'm gonna kind of zip it on that one, but I'm still gonna change wherever it says him just to make it a little bit more accessible. I feel like maybe they're not trying, maybe they're using it in general sense, but um, there's a stream of patriarchy overlying the Dharma, like the nuns sit in the back, all kinds of stuff. So for me, I don't know. It just feels better to make the language more inclusive. Okay, I hope you'll understand. So such a person always abides in non-meditation, even when they are meditating. The natural non-dual imperative always dominates. Dominates. What about the most common eventuality subsequent to initiatory experience, namely that the basic lesson of pure awareness is learnt and we fall back into it on occasion, but we cannot sustain it through sensory overload, emotional trauma, or dualistic intellectual analysis. What of that? Can you go back there? Because uh, this may be, for example, for me, it's very painful situations that I can't solve on the surface. So my, my healing has come from being able to abide in the natural state, the natural compassion that's here, and it's like space. So if there are beings out there that I can't get out of their suffering, if I can't, maybe somebody's trapped somewhere or something like that, and I can't go find them and help them out, well, then at least my mind, by resting in compassion, can kind of be there with them, okay? But here, that's one thing about Dzogchen that many of you may need to adjust to is that there are people with emotional trauma and a lot of intellectualizing, um, you name it. They're severely caught up, and for those folks, it may be very difficult to even talk about Dzogchen with them. You may never even get the chance to talk about it, let alone share it with them. And that's something I feel over many years I've noticed that yogis, practitioners, they have to get used to this not being able to, on the surface, what we call physically help somebody. But if you can trust in the subtle mind, then you will see uh, you can help. Okay? So it says, what of that? Nothing can be done to induce non dual experience because non duality is the very nature of the conscious thought that is intending its own transcendence. What can be done is to allow or accommodate the respectivity in which awareness of the nature of mind may arise. To say it another way, non dual experience, which is the knowing of the nature of mind, may arise if a contextual space is provided. For example, we cannot expect to obtain a glass of wine unless we first provide a glass. Once the glass is available, we may or may not find it filled with wine. By the grace of God, or the ministration of a friendly helper. Or, to put it another way, the wine glass is always full, but can we see it? The pointing out is what the tradition offers as a skillful means by way of instruction. The pointing out may induce initiatory experience, which is recognition of the unitary experience of the glass of wine. The pointing out may be the vocal expression of someone who knows, it may be a poetic or literary formulation, or it may be derived from a samaya substance that opens the doors of perception. Okay, we can stop there. Thank you so much, Yeshi. Yeah, typically I hear pointing out as oral, mind to mind, or symbolic, but I suppose we can phrase it like that. That's fine. But perhaps more accessible since you're probably not going to be drinking samaya substance, otherwise known as semen. No, really, that's what they have in these rituals. Rupa even makes fun of it. They say these people are eating poop and drinking pee when all they have to do is rest in awareness. It's kind of messed up. But yeah, you don't need to drink quote unquote samaya substance. You can get the pointing out instructions through mind to mind, through words. For example, in the Longchenpa's treasuries, there are several ways of pointing out. Whether you're sitting in shamatha with no thoughts and then the teacher points it out to us, or uh, they're sort of unorthodox ways to where, like, using emotions or talking a lot or um, even shaking the practitioner up a little bit. These are ways to point out. Okay. I think I adopt more less Samaya substancey approaches. I don't have any Samaya substance to offer. Okay. So yes, these techniques are very, very powerful, right? The mind to mind, there's something about that. Honestly, when a teacher sits in front of you and rests in pure presence with their eyes open, um, and it reminds you, it's not a mind to mind transmission, it's just a mind to mind reminder. And when they sit in front of you like that, you see something there. It's a mnemonic, it's something unavoidable. You get pointed to something, and then you recognize your own, the nature of your own mind. Yeah, thanks to seeing it. But typically, we may not see it, or when we do see it, we don't notice it. So the teachers very kindly help us recognize that and then stay with us in very powerful ways.